Today we're going to show you how to install a miDoor garage opener for Mission Machine. We're actually installing our second door opener. We have one door opener installed over here on that door. So this is the opener connected to the motor and the magnet which senses if the door is open and closed. So when we get that shipped from Mission Machines, we got the power supply, the miDoor device, the Velcro to connect the device to wherever you want to connect it and to connect the magnet if necessary, the wire, and the magnet switch. So the first thing is going to be programming the device to work on our network. So there are going to be like a couple of steps. We're going to force the device into ad hoc mode, program its IP address, passwords, and make sure it connects to the network. After it connects to our network, we're gonna connect it to the garage door opener and make sure it works on our app. So let's start with step number one, which is force the ad hoc mode and make sure we program the right IP addresses. So to communicate to the device, we're going to force it into the ad hoc mode. Ad hoc basically is a communication peer-to-peer between the computer and the device. And the first thing I did, I disconnected my computer from my network, so the computer talks to the device directly. I'm going to press the button, keep it pressed while I apply power, and that would reset the device to default and force it into the ad hoc mode. Now that you see the blue light flashing and it will go off, the device should be in the ad hoc mode. I'm going to go to my computer and go to the network setting and find a device called miDoor right here. So I find miDoor. I'm going to connect to miDoor, and then I'll program all the parameters for the miDoor. Place the device, the miDoor, in ad hoc mode. However, before I'm going to communicate with the device, I'm going to try to log into my router, which in my case it's at 192.168.1.1, and I want to see what is the right fixed IP address that I want to use to program that device. I can use DHCP. However, if I use DHCP, I'm not going to know where is the device, and I prefer to put him in a fixed IP address and know that always I can access my device at that IP address. To do that, you need to know a little bit about your router. So the first thing I know that my router starts at 192.168.1.1, and I want to know where is actually in my LAN area of the router, where is the DHCP starting. So if you see, the DHCP starts at 192.168.1.101. So I know from 101 and above, for 100 DHCP users, I shouldn't use any of the addresses. I like to use something below that, so if somebody increases that amount of users, it's not going to interfere. So I know anything below 101 is safe. And I have selected to use 11, just as a random. I could have used 2 or 3 or 4. So anyway, I chose 11. And what you can do, you can go to the status if you want, and the status of your local network, and see if there is any device, not in the DHCP, because you know the DHCP is not going to be at the lower range, but in the ARP tables, and see if there is any device here that connects with the number 11 in it. So I see a 10. Actually, that's a different miDoor unit that I selected to put on 10. and there is nothing in 11, so I know at least now there is no one communicating at that address, and I'm pretty safe to use this address. The other thing you can do is you can do a command window, a DOS command window, and maybe a little bit easier and faster, and you can try to ping the address you want and make sure there is no response. So if I ping 192.168.1.11, I want to see a no response and no reachable. So that destination is not reachable, which is good, and it means that nobody is sitting there. For example, if I'm going to ping the 10 device that I have there, you're going to see that there is a reply from that particular device. So now that I've selected the address that I want to program, what I can do is start to connect to device with the ad hoc mode, which is basically a peer-to-peer communication between this computer and my device. Therefore, I have to make sure that there is no other network connected to my computer, only the Wi-Fi network on my computer. In my case, there is a Ethernet wire connected to the computer, so I'm disconnecting that and making sure that the only connection is my Wi-Fi. And I go to my Wi-Fi and I look for the miDoor unit, and I am going to connect to that unit. So it's going to take a bit to connect to it. I'm going to open a browser again, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to access the web server on the device, which is at 169.254.1.1. And the device shows me only the network configuration, and I'm not going to enable the DHCP. The IP address that I've selected is 192.168.1.11, and subnet is the standard subnet of 255.255.255.0. My gateway is where my router is, and for primary DNS I like to use Google, and they always resolve the DNS. Very important here is your network ID, the encryption of the network, and of course the password. I like to use the central server as it's very simple, and I note the device key because we'll need that device key for later to configure the application on the smartphone. Now, once I set all of that, I save the configuration and reboot the device. So I pressed reboot, and you should see on the device that LEDs turn off. Then you're going to see the green LED and the on and the blue LED flashing. Now, if the blue LED is going to turn off, that means that you are actually connected to the network and everything is good. If you had a wired connection to your computer, you can connect the wire back. And what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to go to the address I programmed the device, which is the 192.168.1.11, and hopefully the device would connect to me, which it did. And I'm going to log in, and perfect. That's my network configuration should show. And again, the device key is very important. All your programming is here. What you should do is go to the user configuration and add a user or 2 or 3, as many as you need, but at least one user that is not an administrator. I selected Yaron, and you're going to set the password, and now you're really all set. If you do want, it's a good time, if you have the unit on your desk and you know what's the temperature, in my case I do, I can go and set up in the in the advanced configuration, I can set up the temperature. So the actual here is 78, so I can set it up and calibrate my temperature sensor. Now we're all set to program the app on our smartphone. We're going to need 3 things, which is the username, the password, and the device key. And after we do that, we're going to check the device is working, and when it's working and we can control the device, we're actually going to install the device at the garage door. Okay, now we're at the point where we're going to install the miDoor. We did all the programming and checked that it's working on the table next to the computer. I have two options really in my garage. One is to put it here next to the switch and run a wire from the miDoor to the switch that controls the door, or put it on the motor itself. I chose to put it on the motor because I have the outlet here, right here. I don't need to run power, where if I was putting it next to the switch I will need to run power. And also the magnet wire would run nicely on the door frame, so it would work nice for me. There are basically two wires that will connect. One wire from here to the switch input on the motor, and the other wire to the magnets. So I'll do the installation and then show it to you once it's installed how it looks. So what we did, we velcroed the miDoor to the garage motor, ran the power to the power, ran the two relay switches. Polarity doesn't matter, so these are the two connections closest to the power, into the switch input, the wire that goes into my wall switch, and then we ran the other next two. Again, polarity doesn't matter. We ran it all the way here to the door, and we put the magnet here and the other part of the magnet on the door. So when the door is open, we know the door is open, and so it would tell me the door is open. Or in my other door right here, we did the opposite. We ran the magnet all the way down to here, so when the door closes, the magnet would make the connection. Okay. So now if you don't have the miDoor app, you should go to the store, Google Play, or the iTunes to download your miDoor app. After I downloaded the miDoor app, all I did is put the device key that you get from the network configuration, like I showed you before, on the miDoor setup. So I entered the device key, my username, my password, and I have here, the door is closed. I double click, push to open, and the door would open. That's basically it. Thank you for watching our video.